Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about deadlock avoidance under operating system. Deadlock avoidance is one of the deadlock handling techniques which is used in operating system. There are four deadlock handling techniques: deadlock prevention, deadlock ignorance, deadlock avoidance, and deadlock detection and recovery. So one out of the technique is deadlock avoidance. So we'll be learning about deadlock avoidance today. So first we will see the introduction to deadlock avoidance. Deadlock avoidance requires careful resource allocation. Operating system allocates all the resources to the processes. So OS should carefully allocate all the resources to the processes. It provides avoidance information to operating system on which resources and process will request throughout its lifetime. Suppose there is a OS over here, there is a process and there is a resource. So OS will allocate the resources to the process. So when deadlock avoidance is used, OS should carefully allocate the resources to process. Suppose process is Word and Word wants the CPU resource. Okay, resource is CPU. So OS should carefully allocate the CPU to process. So operating system can decide if the process should be allowed to wait for resource or may not be able to coordinate scheduling of processes to ensure that deadlock does not occur. Main job of the operating system over here is what? OS should make sure that deadlock will not occur. OS responsibility whether to allocate the resource to a process at the time or not to allocate or keep waiting process for the resource. It is up to the OS. So it is an impractical approach because process is likely not to know ahead of time what resources it will be using, and coordinating scheduling of processes based on this information may not be always possible. That is, see, there is one process on my system, for example Word. Now Word is open. Initially Word won't be knowing how many resources it will need. In future, I want to print the Word document. So this Word process will need a printer. Initially, we won't be knowing how many resources this process will need. So it is impractical approach because in deadlock avoidance, OS should allocate all the resources first only to the process. Ahead of time, OS should know how many resources will be needed by this process, which is not possible. So OS never allocates resources in a way that could lead to a deadlock. So processes must tell OS in advance how many resources they will request. Suppose there is a process Word running on my computer. Okay, this is a Microsoft Word process and it is telling OS that it needs 4 resources suppose. So OS has to in advance make arrangement of these 4 resources for Word. Like resources, suppose for one resource is needed is CPU, then it needs a hard disk, then printer it needs, and suppose there is a RAM. So Word process will first only tell OS how many resources it will need. Okay, so that deadlock will not occur only. But this is not practically possible because process initially won't know how many resources it will need in future. So deadlock avoidance algorithm dynamically examines resource allocation state to ensure that there can never be a circular wait condition. Now what is the meaning of circular wait? There is a process P1 and process P2. Now process P1 wants resource R1 which is taken by P2 currently. P2 is having R1. Similarly, P2 wants resource R2 but it is currently taking by P1. These processes are in circular wait. Why? Because they are circularly waiting. P1 is waiting for R1 which is taken by P2 and P2 is waiting for R2 which is taken by P1. So both are waiting for each other and it is making a cycle. Okay. So this is called as resource allocation graph and this resource allocation graph is having cycle. So deadlock avoidance algorithm will make sure that resource allocation state will never lead to circular wait condition. Circular wait or like this type of cycle won't occur. That thing will be handled by deadlock avoidance algorithm. Now resource allocation state is defined by number of available and allocated resources and maximum demands of the processes. So there will be two states of the system. One is safe state and other one is unsafe state. So enumeration of which processes hold are waiting for or might request which resource. So there is a safe state. There is at least one sequence that does not result in a deadlock. Safe state means what? system will never go in a deadlock state. That is, process will never go in a deadlock state. You 100% know that process won't be having a deadlock even in future. We can call it as a safe state. So no process is deadlocked. Processes won't go in a deadlock state, and there exists no possible sequence in future also that deadlock could occur. Safe state means it is assurance that deadlock will not occur in future also. Processes will never go in the deadlock state. So no process is deadlocked and current state will not lead to a deadlock state. Now, second state of the system is unsafe state. Now it is not a safe state. There is a possibility of deadlock with some sequences. There might be a deadlock, there might not be a deadlock in unsafe state. So if your system or process is in an unsafe state, then there can be a deadlock in future, or there might not be a deadlock. Two conditions. Okay, anything can happen. So if a system is in safe state, then system has no deadlock. 100% you can tell that there won't be a deadlock in future also, and currently there is no deadlock. And if a system is in unsafe state, then there is a possibility of deadlock. Might be a deadlock, might not be a deadlock. So deadlock avoidance ensures that system will never enter an unsafe state. It will make sure system is always in the safe state. So that is the job of deadlock avoidance algorithm. You are avoiding the deadlock first only by keeping it in the safe state. So what are the approaches which are used by deadlock avoidance algorithm? Do not start the process if its maximum requirement might lead to deadlock. For example, there is a process called as Word, Microsoft Word, MS Word, and it is telling OS, that is our operating system, four resources are needed by this word process. But it is not possible for OS to give all four resources to the word at a time, because somebody else is using already printer, okay, or CPU. So it is first only known that maximum requirement all four resources if he gives, system process might go in a deadlock state, might lead to a deadlock, because printer is needed by other processes, CPU is needed by other processes, so OS won't be able to fulfill its requirement of four resources at a time. It might lead to a deadlock in future. So such type of processes should not be started only, so that you can avoid the deadlock in advance. Because in future it will go in a deadlock because he won't get the four resources which are requested by him. So such type of processes you should not start only to avoid the deadlock. So this is one deadlock avoidance approach. Then you do not grant an incremental resource request if this allocation might lead to deadlock. Suppose Word is telling OS give me four resources. Then OS gives him four resources. Then he is telling what? I need one more resource. Now I need five resources. Okay. I need the speaker also. So he is incrementing the resource request. One by one he is telling more resources to give, and OS won't be able to fulfill this request of process. It will not grant only incremental resource request if this allocation might lead to a deadlock. If he has said 4, 4 will be final. He won't allow him to increase the resource request later on. So Word won't be able to make the resource request to 5. He won't be able to increase the resource request to 6. 4 means 4 only he will give. Initially he is to 10. Then there is a deadlock avoidance with resource allocation graph. So this algorithm can be used if we have only one instance of resource type. For example, this process P1 wants resource R1 which has only one instance. Okay, only one instance of resource R1. So when there is only one instance or only one piece of the resource type is there, that time you can use the deadlock avoidance algorithm. Like only one CPU is there. Okay, process needs only one CPU, not more than one CPU. That time you can use this deadlock avoidance. Now in addition to the request and assignment ages, claim age is also introduced. Claim age, which goes from PI to RJ, indicated that process PJ may request resource RJ in future, represented by dashed line. So like this dashed line is put up showing what? Process P1 may request resource R2 in future. This is called as claim age. Claim age is always denoted with the dashed line. This indicates that P1 might need this resource R2 in future. Okay, that is called as claim age. Assignment age means what? Now this resource R3 is currently allotted to process P1. Process P1 is currently having resource R3. Okay, and he currently wants resource R1. He currently has with him resource R3, and in future he might need resource R2 also. So future whatever he will be needing, that is shown using this dashed line. Currently what he needs, that is shown using this solid line with the arrow. And when arrow points towards him, it indicates that he is already having that resource with him, that is resource R3. This age between P1 and R3 is assignment age. That means resource R3 is assigned to P1 currently. Okay, we have a request age, that is P1 is currently requesting R1 resource, and we have a claim age, that is P1 might require R2 in future, this R2 resource. That's why it is shown using dash line. Claim age converts to request age when process requests a resource. When resource is released by process, assignment age reconverts to claim age. For example, there are three ages. One is assignment age, then we have a request age in resource allocation graph, and third we have a claim age. So now this is a process P1. Now currently he needs the resource R1, instance of resource R1. This we can use deadlock avoidance only when there is one instance of every resource is there, or only one piece of every resource is there. Okay, that's why I have drawn the single dot. Then process P1 is currently assigned resource R3, is currently having the resource R3 with him, and in future he might need R2, which is shown using dashed line with the arrow towards the resource. This claim age might get converted to request age when process requests a resource. Okay, now process P1 wants R2 also currently. So this we have put claim age as a future, he might need it, but now he wants R2, so you can convert this dashed line to solid line. Okay, like this, to show that currently he is requesting the resource R2. So claim age can be converted to request age when process requests a resource. When the resource is released by a process, now P1 is done with the R3. Okay, so it is released by P1 process, this R3 resource. So this assignment age will get converted to claim age. In future, again process 1 might need R3, so it will be converted to claim age. Like this, deadlock avoidance algorithm is used with resource allocation graph. So resource must be claimed priori in the system. That is, before a process starts executing, all of its claim ages must already appear in the resource allocation graph. Here you have to show all the claim ages, that is, in future which resources will be needed by that process, which is impossible. Process first only won't know how many resources it will need in future. But deadlock avoidance algorithm says what? When you draw the resource allocation graph, you have to show all the claim ages prior or starting only in the resource allocation graph. Suppose that process PI requests resource RG. So this is a process PI which requests the resource RG. This is the request age when arrow points towards the resource. The request can be granted only if converting request age PI to RJ to an assignment age does not result in a cycle in the resource allocation graph. This request, when it will be granted, when if you convert this request age to assignment age and if it is not forming a cycle, then only this type of request will be granted. If it is making a cycle, then 100% it is a deadlock. Resource allocation graph, if it is having a cycle, then it is 100% deadlock situation. That is, we use a cycle detection algorithm over here. If no cycle exists, then PI will have to wait. So now we'll see the Banker's algorithm, which is used for avoiding the deadlock. So it's one of the deadlock avoidance algorithm. The name is given Banker's algorithm. So it is applicable to a system with multiple instances of resource type. When you have multiple instances of resource type, you have to use the Banker's algorithm. Otherwise, if you have only one instance of resource type, you can use resource allocation graph to show deadlock, to avoid the deadlock with the claim age, assignment age, and request age. But if you have more than one instances of resources, okay, more than one instances of resources are there, that time you can use Banker's algorithm. So each process must priori claim maximum use. First only process must tell how many resources it wants. Now this process P1 is there. First only it should tell how many resources it wants to OS. So when process requests a resource, it may have to wait. So when process gets all its resources, it must return them in finite amount of time. When it gets all the resources, you have to use them and return them in a finite amount of time. So Banker's algorithm runs each time. So process requests a resource. Is it safe? It checks. When any process requests a resource, is it safe to give that resource to that process? That will be checked by Banker's algorithm. Process terminates. Can I allocate released resources to suspended process waiting for them? If any process is terminated, all the resources which were allocated to that process can be given to some other suspended or blocked process who are waiting for those resources. The new state is safe if and only if every process can complete after allocation is made. Make allocation and then check system state and deallocate it if unsafe. So this is the procedure for Banker's algorithm. Now we'll see one example on Banker's algorithm. Okay, we'll implement this algorithm with an example so that we'll come to know how the deadlock avoidance is done over here. We are just checking whether system is in safe state. If it is in a safe state, that means we have avoided the deadlock and there can never be a deadlock in future. But if system is not coming in safe state, then you can say that deadlock may occur in future. So now in this example, there are 5 processes starting from P0 to P4 and there are 3 resources A, B, C. Okay. Now total A resource available is what? 10. Total 10 instances of resource A is available. Total how many resources are there with the system? A type of resources there. 10 instances of A resource are there with the system. Total 5 instances of B resource is there with the system and total 7 instances of resource C is there with the operating system. Now these are the total resources which are there. Okay, you have to use these resources with these 5 processes and you have to tell whether any of these processes will go in a deadlock or not, or they won't go in a deadlock. So now already some instances of these resources A, B, C are allocated to these processes. Like P0 process allocated 0 instances of resource A, 1 instance of resource B and 0 instance of resource C. Similarly, P1 process is allocated 2 instances of resource A, 0 instances of resource B and 0 instances of resource C. P2 is allocated 3 instances of resource A, 0 instances of resource B and 2 instances of resource C from this 7. And P3 is allocated 2 instances of resource A, 1 instance of this resource B out of 5 and 1 instance of resource C out of 7. P4 is allocated 0 instances of resource A, 0 instances of resource B and 2 instances of resource C out of this 7. Allocated means given to them from this total ABC resource instances. Okay, but maximum how much it needs? P0 needs 7 instances of A, 5 instances of B, 3 instances of C. Similarly, P1 needs 3 instances of A, 2 instances of B, 2 instances of C. P2 needs 9 instances of A, 0 instances of B, 2 instances of C. P3 needs 2 instances of each resource type and P4 needs 4 instances of A and 3 instances of resource B and C. So these are the maximum needs. Okay. Now what are the available total? How many resources are available? How you can calculate the available? By doing total minus allocation. So total how many instances of A is allocated? 2 plus 3 plus 2. 7. Total how many are allocated of B resource? 1 and 2 instances. Total how many are allocated of C resource? 5 instances. So total A is what? Total was 10 and allocated was what? 7. So how many are available? 3. So 3 is written over here. Similarly, for B resource type, total how many were there? 5 are there. Okay, how many are already allocated? 2 are already allocated. So total 5 are there, 2 are already allocated. So how many are available now? Currently 3 are available. Similarly, for the C resource type, total 7 were there. How many are allocated? 5. So 2 are remaining. 3, 3, 2. So 3 instances of A, 3 instances of B and 2 instances of C are available currently. Okay. So using this currently available resource, can you fulfill the needs of these processes in a such a way that no process will go in a deadlock? That only we have to find using Banker's algorithm. Can you avoid the deadlock using this currently available resource instances? You can execute the processes in such a way that system will not go in a deadlock. Can you avoid the deadlock from these available resources? So that we have to find. If the sequence is coming safe, okay, then we can call that there is no deadlock and it will not happen also in future. But if sequence is not coming safe, it is coming unsafe, then there is a deadlock situation. Required need is max minus allocation For every process you do max minus allocation. So 7 minus 0 is 7. 5 minus 1 is 4 and 3 minus 0 is 3. Max minus allocation will give you the required need. How many are currently needed? Available are we calculated 332 are available. Now how many each process currently needs, that you can calculate by doing maximum minus allocation. So that is coming to 7, 4 and 3. Similarly, process 2 maximum it needs 322 and allocated is 200 as you all can see over here. Okay, so just do the subtraction. So 3 minus 2 is 1, 2 minus 0 is 2, 2 minus 0 is 2. So 1, 2, 2 is currently required by process P1. Similarly, process P2 will require 9 minus 3 6 instances of A, 0 minus 0 0 instances of B and 2 minus 2 0 instances of resource C. Process P3 will require 2 minus 2 0 instances of resource A, 2 minus 1 1 instances of resource B and 2 minus 1 1 instance of resource C. Process P4 will require 4 minus 0 that is 4 instances of resource A, 3 minus 0 3 instances of resource A, 3 instances of resource B and 3 minus 2 1 instance of resource C. So this is the currently required need of all the processes. Okay, now you check. Condition should be what? Required need should be less than or equal to available. If the required need is less than or equal to available, then only you can fulfill the request. Otherwise, you cannot execute that process. So check. Require is 7 by A. Together only we have to allocate all these resources to the process. You cannot allocate them separately. A, B, C has to be together only allocated. Required need of process P0 is 7 instances of A. Then it needs 4 instances of B and 3 instances of C. Available is how many? 3 instances of A are available currently. But process P0 needs how many? 7. Okay. He wants 7. But there only with the OS how many? 3. Only he can give 3 resources of A to P0. So this 100% P0 won't be able to get executed because his demand is more. He requires 7 and system can give him only 3 instances of A. Okay, so P0 100% it won't execute. You don't even have to check for B and C. Here itself you know that it won't get executed. Next is P1. P1 needs 1 instance of resource A, 2 instance of resource B and 2 instance of resource C. Currently available are how many? 3 of A is available, 3 of B is available and 2 of C is available. So currently it needs 1 instance of A but 3 are available. So system can give him because he needs only 1 and 3 are there with the system. Similarly he needs 2 instances of resource B, 3 are available. So he can give, system can give 2 instances to P1 because he has with him 3. So similarly 2 instances of C is required by P1 and system is having 2 instances of C. So he can give. So now this request can be fulfilled because that many of instances are available with the system. So you can give this to P1 resource. So P1 will complete its job. So once he completes his job, P1, whatever was allocated to P1 will be added to the available section. And now it will become what? 5, 3, 2. Now available resources will be how many? 5, 3, 2. Because whatever was allocated to P1 will become free. It will be released by P1 because he has already done his job. Okay, so this whatever was there with him he will give back. So 200 will be added to the available resources and you will get 532 as available new available resources. So P1 will complete its job first. Now go further. P3 needs 6 resources of type A, 0 of B and 0 of C. Currently available is 532. So A instances are available 5, B instances are 3 and C instances are 2. Okay, but P2 needs 6 instances of E. Currently available are only 5. System can at the most give him 5 instances. E needs 6. So here itself you know that request can't be fulfilled. You should have minimum 6 available resources with the system. If there were 6 available, then he would have given him. But there is only 5 available with the system. So you won't be able to fulfill its request. So P2 won't be executed. It will go further and it will check for P3. Now P3 needs only 0 instances of A, that is no instances of A is needed by P3. One instance of B is needed by P3 and one instance of C is needed by P3. Currently with the system, 5 instances are there of A, 3 instances are there of B and 2 instances are there of C. So you can easily fulfill the request of this P3 process. So he will fulfill the request of P3 process, and whatever was there with the P3 will release it and will give it to the system. So 211 will be added to 532 and it will become 743. Now currently available resources are 743 of A, B and C respectively. And which process finished its task? P3. P3 is done with its task. Now next available in the sequence is P4. Now P4 requires 4 instances of A, 3 instances of B and 1 instance of C. Available are how many? 7, 4, 3. P4 can fulfill its request and complete its task. So P4 also will get executed and whatever was allocated to P4 will be released and will be added to the available. So now available will become what? 7, 4, 5. Okay. Now again go back because P0 was not executed because its demand were more. Now we can see if the demand can be fulfilled because available has become more now. So 7 are needed by A. 7 instances of A are needed by P1. Yes. 7 are there currently available. 4 are needed of type B. 4 are there with the system. And 3 instances of C are needed. 5 are there with the system currently. So P0's request system can fulfill now. So you will fulfill the P0's request and P0 will complete its task. So next P0 will get executed. You can even execute P2 before P0 because P2's request also system can fulfill now. So P0 got executed. Now only remaining is what? P2. So now P0 has completed its task. So its allocated resources will be released. So 010 will be added to 745 now. So what it will become? 755. Now currently available are what? 755. So this 755 are currently available and P2 needs what? 600. 6 of A, 0 of B and 0 of C. So his request will be fulfilled and next P2 will do its task. It will get executed. Okay, once he gets executed, his resources also will be released. That is 302 will be added to 755. So it will come to 5 plus 2 7, 5, 7 plus 3 10. So when you at the final, when all the processes are executed or the sequence has all the processes in it, final count should come same as total count. Total was how many? A instances were 10, B instances were 5 and C instances were 7. So same I am getting now, 10 instances of A, 5 instances of B and C instances of 7 because all the processes have finished their task and they have released their resources. So total available resources are coming now 10, 5, 7 as it was given originally. So now we got the safe sequence, that is P1 will execute first, then P3, then P4, then P0 and then P2. So this is the safe sequence. Even if you get one safe sequence in Benka's algorithm, you can 100% say that system won't be in a deadlock state in future also. All the processes will be able to complete its task on time. Okay, so that is the all Benka's algorithm about. This Benka's algorithm is also called a safety algorithm because you are taking care that safe sequence will come. Okay, so name is given safety algorithm also to this algorithm. So this was all about the deadlock avoidance technique under operating system. Thank you.